All right, so I've been shooting these guitar instructional videos for ActiveMelody.com for over a decade now, and I get a lot of repeat questions, and I'm trying to address those questions in these midweek videos, ones that I see over and over again. And one that has come up through emails, through comments, over and over again is, I can't play a bar chord, what do I do? And that's always a hard one for me to try and even address, because I don't know if you legitimately can't play the bar chord, or if you just, maybe you've tried it and it hurts or it feels awkward and you're just sort of giving up on it. There's, both of those are real scenarios. Now, if you've got a legitimate reason, like arthritis, that's probably the number one thing that I see, or you're missing part of a finger, or missing an entire finger, or have some sort of hand injury, that's a legitimate reason to not be able to play a bar chord. It doesn't mean you can't still do it, or still play the chord. We're going to walk through some workarounds in this video. But if you don't have any sort of medical reason or any sort of injury to your hand, you can play a bar chord. You can do it. Now, what helped me was changing the angle of my hand this way by pivoting it around the fretboard. I was doing it too much in maybe this direction, and I didn't realize, I never really kind of messed with it that way. But what I realized, by changing the angle, it allowed me to put my thumb on the back of the neck. And when I did that, I was able to get the right leverage and squeeze. It's really a squeezing motion. And I always think of it kind of like working a puppet. It's that sort of thing where you're squeezing this way. And when you got your hand back there, or your thumb back there, you're able to get the right leverage. So that's what you want to play with if you have no injuries. Just kind of find the right angle, and you can do it. I'm telling you, you can do it. Even if you got short fingers, or stubby fingers, or fat fingers, or whatever the thing is, you can do this. You can work it out. Now, if you've got the injury, or you've got some kind of a arthritis or something, let's talk through some ways to do that. So we can look at some major chords and minor chords. Those are your most common chords when it comes to bar chords. And so what we can start with here is starting with the E chord shape out. We'll kind of look at the cage system a little bit here, but if we think of our E chord in first position, and if I were to play that, and let's say we were going to use that chord but play it up here and play an F sharp chord. So this is an F sharp note. I'm using my bar there, which represents where the nut was. These three fingers are playing that E shape. I'm playing all 6 strings in this case, but I'm playing a nice big full F sharp chord, F sharp major chord. Now, if I can't play a bar chord, what would I do? I would split that up into triads. And if you look at this in triads, you've got the top triad here, which is the top 3 strings. Now, I realize there's a little bit of a bar going on when I did that, so I'm barring the first 2 strings there on the 2nd fret. But you can do this. And even if you can't do that bar, that's okay. You can do this one, right? So that's strings 4, 3, and 2. It's out of that bar chord shape, though. So you're going to have to do your own homework a little bit and figure out sort of which one works best or sounds best, and which one you can do. The other one you can do is strings 5, 4, and 3. That's the same as just playing your E chord down in first position. I'm just playing it here now. So you've got 3 different options right there out of that one bar chord. And it's just really up to you and up to the context of the song for which one you would choose. Now, if you were to use the A shape out of cage and come up here, you have other triads. So you could look at the top part of that A shape, which is strings 3, 2, and 1. Or here's this little bar here. I did a micro lesson on this triad last week. Actually, I'll throw it up on the screen right now. You can check out all the different possibilities you can get out of this one triad. It's a pretty cool lesson. But anyway, you can do it that way, or if you can't do that, you can cram all 3 fingers in and play it that way. You can look at the bottom part of that too, 5, 4, and 3. It doesn't sound as pretty, but you can use that. So that's looking at a major chord in like 2 main positions on the neck. Obviously, you could take any of the 5 positions out of the cage system, and you could just dissect it into those little triads. A really big one, and a very useful one that I use all the time, is the D shape. If you think of your D shape in first position, right? Just the top 3 strings of it though. Where my my ring finger is when I'm making that shape, you can see it's a little triangle there. It looks like a triangle. That's the tip of the triangle. That note is a D note. Therefore, that's a D chord. So using that little bit of knowledge, that's an E note that I'm playing on the 5th fret 2nd string. So therefore, if I use The triangle, that's an E chord using the D shape. Any note that you can find on your second string, if you know the name of that note, you can feel it, that's an F sharp. Therefore, that's an F sharp chord. So now you can play, using those concepts, you can play all over the fretboard. If we look at a minor chord, it's the same thing. There's two main minor chord shapes when we're thinking of the Cage system. One is the E minor shape and the other one is the A minor shape. I realize there's more, but those are like the main ones, the big ones, when it comes to bar chords anyway. So if I were to play an F sharp minor chord using that E minor shape, it would look like that. I'm barring again on the second fret, and then I've got these two fingers here making that E minor shape. Now I don't have to play all of that. I could just play strings 5, 4, and 3. Now the thing is, you got to make sure you're not bumping the other strings when you do that. That's the challenge of not playing all your strings, or not barring all in having all 6 strings accessible. But you could work that. That's a nice sounding F sharp minor chord, or just the top 3 strings out of that. So that's your minor shape. You could do it same thing with the A minor shape. You could take your A minor chord shape from first position and play it up here, and you're playing an F sharp minor. Or you could take the top 3 strings, a little stair step. Anyway, I think you see where I'm going with this. Is to take those bar chords that you might see tabbed out, or you might see some guitar instructor like myself or another one online explaining how to do it, and you're just going to have to do your own homework and say, well, I can't do all 6 strings, but which of them can I do? There's nothing wrong with playing little triads, and even if you don't play a triad, you can play 2 notes out of it. You could play a harmonized 6th or a harmonized 3rd. In some cases, that'll work just fine. So it's kind of up to you to figure it out, but don't let your arthritis or your missing part of a finger or whatever your injury, don't let that hold you back from playing guitar. I mean, I think of Jerry Garcia as I'm saying this, he was missing a digit on his right hand, and he played banjo, he played pedal steel, he played guitar, he played just probably anything with strings on it. He was an amazing musician. Same with Django Reinhardt, who is one of the best. I mean, he really changed the way that all guitars played. I mean, he was just one of the best, lead players, and he played little chords and everything. But 2 fingers. He only had 2 fingers on his left hand. So these 2 fingers were completely injured. I'm going to actually link to, as I'm saying this, I just watched a video on him. I'll link to it so you can check out his backstory. But, I mean, the guy was amazing with 2 fingers. So you can't let that stuff hold you back. You've just got to find a workaround. And in some ways, it can sort of add to your own unique way of approaching the guitar. You can think of it that way. All right, well, hopefully that's motivated you and encouraged you to try this stuff. Even if you've got a deficit with your fingers or something with your left hand, you can do this.